Hey guys, we are back again, this time with the Dark Imperium Contents Set reveal. So earlier today we had the pre-order dates and the collection dates of your pre-orders for 8th edition, being the 3rd of June and the 17th of June respectively. So now let's take a deeper look at what's coming in the Dark Imperium box set. So what's in the box then? We're going to get 53 brand new multi-part plastic Citadel miniatures, forming the Primaris Space Marines on one side and the Death Guard on the other side. We're going to get a 280 page hardback 40k book, a 24 page Death Guard book, 24 page Primaris book, an 8 page core rules booklet. Now this is the same content that's going to be available free of charge as a PDF, and a colour assembly guide for all the miniatures, so a nice little bit of early intro painting for any new players. 12 red D6 dice, a 12-inch range ruler, and a decal sheet for the Primaris Space Marines that allows you to make them or paint them and put stickers on that are in the Ultramarines, Blood Angels, Dark Angels or Space Wolves chapter. We have no hard and fast facts on the price, but it is rumoured to be £95 or about 115 euros. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be in dollars or, heaven forbid, Australian dollars, but from a UK price, that's quite a lot of content for that money. So if you break down the main rulebook at about £35, you're going to get £60 for those extra books and all those miniatures, and that, for me, once again, screams of good value. So how does that 53 model count break down? So we're going to get 2 5-man squads of Primaris Space Marine Intercessors. That's the guys armed with the new bolt rifle. We can see here 5 Marines here. You've got the sergeant there with his helmet, red helmet on his hip, with the bare head version. And then following that we've got a helmeted version as well. So being multi-part, that seems to be the order of the day. Although I imagine the legs are fairly static, but you can just get some twist on the torso and some different variations on the arms and head and so on. So that gives you a core unit of 2 5-man units of Primaris Space Marines, and then following that we're going to get the new Primaris Hellblasters. This is the first time we've seen the Hellblasters. We've only seen Intercessors up until now, and you can see these guys are armed with what appears to be a plasma rifle. I'm wondering whether it's got any kind of added range or added benefits, or even whether they still get hot in the new rules. But yeah, these are all armed, including the sergeant, with these plasma rifle versions, which yeah, as I said, we've not seen these before. On top of that then we get 3 of these Primaris Inceptors, which seem to be the Assault Marines kind of version, Jump Marines. They've got jump packs on, and they've got these twin bolt guns with little weird shields on, and interesting to note the new bendy flying base on these as well. I'm not 100% sold on these yet, but time will tell. They may grow on me. But yeah, that's the new Assault Interceptor looking unit. We also get 4 character models here. So this is a Primaris Ancient. Lots of chat whether these guys are old enough to have an Ancient, but Ancient does refer to the banner that they're welding, not their physical age. So we have this banner bearer, the Primaris Ancient, as one of the models that comes in the kit. And banner bearers always bring a little bit of character to an army. It gives you a chance to show some good creative painting on the banner, and bring a bit of colour and a bit of focal point to your army, so everyone always looks at the nice banners, and yeah, that's going to look quite cool against the other guys in here. We get 2 lieutenant models, or lieutenant if you're an American, that come with this as well. So the first one is armed with a bolt pistol and a power sword. His armour looks a little bit more ornate. He's got some nice leg greave work going on there, extra purity seals, and a traditional helmet colour there with the red stripe inside the white there. Going back to some traditional heraldry colours there for junior officers, which is good to see. And the second one comes with the bolt rifle and a bolt pistol here, as shown. So that's the second lieutenant model that comes in the box set. Finally, on the Primaris Space Marine side, they get a captain in Gravis armour. Now, this kind of looks like it could be a mix between sort of a Primaris Terminator or Artificer armour maybe, but it certainly looks like it's a bit more hardened. Lots of extra armour panels in there, lots of extra detail, looking around the hips and the legs, it does look thicker in armour. But yeah, that's the senior officer, the captain that comes with the army. Now, what good captain wouldn't come with a nice cloak? So he's got one of those, but also note the power fist, and then a chain-fed or a belt-fed bolt gun that's attached to those. We haven't seen those since Marnius Calgar, I guess. So it'd be interesting to see the rules on that, but with a power weapon and a power fist, and knowing what we know about the power weapon rules, he's going to have the option to switch between the two to either strike a little bit with less effect but more strength, or with more effect and his base strength. So that's going to be an option for you depending on what combat the guy's going to be involved with. In order to field your Primaris Space Marines then, you're going to need a full set of data sheets, and that's what's contained in this 24-page book that accompanies the box set. And there's also going to be some fluff in there about the Plague Wars on Ultramar that this box set kind of represents. So now we move on to the Death Guard side, and starting with the infantry then we get 7 Plague Marines. Now going back, if you're familiar with your Nurgle lore, you know that their favoured number is 7, so it's good to see them going back to strength of 7. And yet armed with a variety of weapons, including a plague knife and their ranged weapon, which is known as a blight launcher. Now I'll be covering some of those rules in another video where we have a faction focus on the Death Guard themselves. Next up then are the Poxwalkers. Now you get 20 of these, so you're going to get 2 lots of identical models here. These are your zombies of Death Guard. Now going from the new faction focus that we've seen, these are going to have some interesting rules as well. They're going to be dirt cheap, have the ability to turn some of their fallen prey into more Poxwalkers, and they're a good screening treatment. They're going to be immune to morale as well, which is going to keep them on the battlefield to the last man. To back up your stumbling horde of infantry then, we've also got a blight drone in the kit. Only previously seen, I believe, by Forge World. This is the first time we've seen this in plastic, so I expect they're going to be quite sought after in some swapsies. Looking at this, looks like they're equipped with some las cannon type weaponry. Now, haven't got much detail on the blight drone just yet, but that is going to be sort of the heavy weapon support that's going to come with the Death Guard side. So the equivalent characters that are coming in this kit compared to the Primaris Space Marines then, we have a Noxious Blightbringer. He looks like he's sort of an icon bearer, wielding that massive bell above his head attached to a weird looking horn thing, carrying a plasma looking weapon as well. Really quite a characterful looking model, going to make for a good centerpiece and look quite cool within your Death Guard. We then have a Malignant Plague Caster. Now he's going to be your psyker for the army, for want of a better word, you know, casting nasty disease and pestilence on people. We don't know any of the rules particularly for this guy. Interesting, not overly sold with him completely yet, but very characterful and yeah, looking pretty good anyway. Not really my cup of tea for that particular model, but I'm sure it will appeal to many others. And finally we have the Lord of Contagion. So this is the guy that's going to lead your Death Guard units within this Dark Imperium box set. Now this model I do like a lot. He reminds me a little bit of Typhus. He looks like he's in some kind of cataphract type armour that's been heavily mutated and bloated over the years of combat. But yeah, I think that model is probably my favourite out of the kit so far. So just like the Primaris Space Marines then, we get a Death Guard book, another 24-page book, and this contains all the data sheets for all the units in the Death Guard. So you now know all the different unit strengths and all the profiles and everything else that's going to come along with this particular set of models. So what if you have other armies, I hear you all ask. Now there are 5 indices that are going to come along with this release, 2 of which are going to be based on the Imperium, so that's going to include all Imperium forces. There's an additional book that covers the forces of Chaos, and then finally 2 books that cover all the Xenos races, so your Tau, Tyranids, Necrons and so on, all going to be covered in those 2 volumes. The rumoured price tag for each of those is going to be around £15, probably around €20, which isn't terrible. You've only got to buy the ones that you require for your armies. But we have also had confirmed now that there are going to be individual codexes for every single faction to follow on from those. This is really just to get you up and playing straight away. Now, as typical with Games Workshop, there's a whole plethora of add-ons and extra bits to try and squeeze those extra pounds and dollars out of your purse or your wallet or your parents' wallet, whatever, and to spend your hard-earned cash on. So we have some tactical objectives. We have some command dice, which are going to be used to show how many command points that you've got left or remaining or spent, whichever. And there's some other interesting icons on there which I'm not quite sure what they could represent just yet, but another essential gaming aid, I am sure. We have a combat gauge. Not really sure what to say about this. It's sort of shaped in, half of an Aquila eagle. It's going to have, your fixed measuring distances on there. One assumes that one side could be 9 inches, perhaps, for the deep striking kind of rules that we're getting hinted at. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the point of those are. I've seen those before. We've had those little gauges before. Nothing wrong with an old-fashioned tape measure, in my opinion. I think that's a little bit dubious. But you know what? They're not selling templates anymore because we don't need them. So they've got to find something else to fill that market gap on their shelves. Next up, we have some wound trackers. So very similar, I think, to the Age of Sigmar dice for this. This is going to track all those multi-wound models that we've now got that can go up to countless numbers of wounds. We've seen 24 wounds on a knight, for example. But yeah, if you've not got a good collection of D20s or other methods of tracking wounds, Games Workshop has a solution for you. Of course they do, because they're a business and they want your money. And finally, we have some tactical objectives as well. So we've got some nice little bit of modelling for objectives within your new games of 8th edition. So you can see there we've got some weird looking bits and pieces, like a supply drop pod and a weird operating table and some usual kinds of stuff that we've seen before. But yeah, reimagined for 8th edition. Personally, I'm a big fan of having decent objective markers on a table. The amount of games I've played where you've used paint pots or goblins from The Hobbit or some other weird and wonderful way of representing where your objectives are, coins and so on. I think it's much prettier if you've got two well-painted armies battling over a nice table that you have suitably good objectives. So, for me, this is probably a good thing, just depending on the price point. But if you've got something equivalent, then use those, obviously. But yeah, anything's better than a paint pot, surely. We also have a brand new Guy Haley book on the Dark Imperium. So this is going to be focusing on Reboot Gilliman's campaign to reclaim all of those worlds that have all been split down the middle by that big warp rift. I haven't read a book in ages. I may well pick this up to try and get some understanding on the Primaris Space Marines and the background and keep abreast of bits and pieces that are going on in a war zone, because I'm a big campaign fluffhead. So yeah, Guy Haley, not too bad a writer in my opinion, not the best out there from Black Library, but yeah, certainly something good, especially with the Primaris Space Marines and we know so little about them. Might be good to have a author's opinion on how they're working and integrating into regular Space Marine chapters. The last bit of information I want to cover in this video then are two brand new Imperial Armour books that are going to be out on the day of release on the 17th of June. These are going to contain all of the Adeptus Astartes revised rules for the new edition, so all the data slates for all the vehicles for the Adeptus Astartes to start with, and then there is a second book also available on release on the 17th of June for the Chaos Space Marines. So these two will get any of you guys with Chaos or Space Marine Forge World goodies onto the tabletop, so you can get those going into 40k and seeing how they're going to convert to 8th edition. Now Forge World have also confirmed that all the other books, all the other indexes for all other races and models that they currently do and plan to do are going to be available by the end of June. So within 2 weeks of launch, every Forge World model should be covered in a brand new Imperial Armour book. Now, no pricing on this. I would probably ballpark it at anywhere between £20 and £30. I'm hoping it's no more than that, as I have a large Forge World collection, but then that's the nature of the beast when you're going for those premium products. But good news for all Forge World fanatics and all those with all those lovely resin toys. You're going to get the full rules conversion for those all within 2 weeks of launch. that's pretty good going, I think. So that's going to wrap it up for the contents of the new box set. I'm 99% still excited. There's a couple of models in there that I'm a little bit dubious about, but I'd love to know your opinions in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next video.